Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP feature guest today is a former educator turned boutique chair decorator, helping people around the globe infuse personality, color, and whimsy into their surroundings. Through her company, Chair Whimsy, she offers various options to turn a boring and beige room into whimsical and wow, including a collection of ready-made designer chairs, custom chair design, fabric selection services, and a host of courses to unleash the DIYer's inner artiste. In 2020, she introduced her first course. The response prompted her to create 5 more. Dovetailing on the pandemic, the courses clearly struck a nerve with thousands of women looking to learn a new skill while brightening their homes. In under 18 months, sales for her courses hit over 500K. She had me at chair, but wow, that is clearly impressive. She lives in a personality-filled home in Round Rock, Texas, with her husband, 2 daughters, and 2 furry friends, where she enjoys greenhouse gardening, mixing tasty cocktails, and we're going to have to ask her in a second about camper revamper. But first, Silhouettes, please help me welcome Wendy Conklin. Wendy, hello.
Hi, Amber. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, like I said, before we get going officially, help me out real quick. Talk to us about camper revamper.
Oh, well, during the pandemic, because, all of our trips were canceled, just like everybody else. And so we decided that we wanted to try being camper people, So I've never done that before. I didn't know, if this is this us? I don't know. But we decided that we would get a used one. So I found one on Craigslist, and we drove about 3 hours down to the coast to pick it up. And it's a little Shasta reissue. And it's very similar to the vintage looking Shastas made in the 1940s to the 1960s, I believe. And back in 2015 and 2016, they brought back a limited number of these campers with updated things. So they have a bathroom in them, and a few other little nice amenities that the old ones didn't have. And so we decided, hey, let's see if we can be camper people and we can at least go places and be safe. So we bought this camper, and of course, I have to redecorate it because it's not what I want. So I mean, it was cute and it was fine inside, but it was all wood paneling and stuff, and that just wasn't my vibe. And so that was really the most fun. So I spent several months, painting it inside, wallpapering everywhere, redoing some, having my cushions redone and some really cute fabrics for pillows and things like that, and just really decking it out and decorating it to make it fun. And so, yeah, it has like camel wallpaper from Katie Kime and striped curtains in it. I mean, it's just really, really fun. I have a freebie on my website that kind of details the whole process and what it looks like and everything. But it was fun, and we've used it quite a bit. And, we need to use it a little bit more this fall. When it hits summer, it's just a little hot, I mean, we have an air conditioner, but, it's kind of hot to go camping. So our big camping times are when it's cooler. We go to South Padre at Christmas time or right after Christmas. We've done that the last 2 years, and that's a lot of fun because it's perfect weather, So we've had a lot of fun with this little camper that we got.
How exciting! How exciting! Very cool. Oh, wow. Well, yeah. So, what we'll do is I will end up sharing all of your links in the resource sections. You mentioned that freebie. So, our audience will probably want to go check that out along with everything else here at the end. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wendy, I think I mentioned privately that I am over the moon, excited to visit with you today, but even more so to let you share a little bit of your silhouette of success story with us. So thank you again for taking time to spend this time with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. All right. So we shared a little bit about you in the intro, but to better help illustrate the shaping of your silhouette of success, how about you share a little bit about your background with our audience?
Yeah, so I was a teacher. That's how I started out. I loved teaching. I taught mainly elementary, but a little bit of middle school, and really loved the planning of it and lessons and lesson planning and things like that. And so I decided I would challenge myself and write some curriculum and to see if I could get published. And I was able to, luckily. And so that kind of began a little bit of a career switch where I started doing more writing. My first daughter was born at the time. And so I was able to stay home with her and do freelance writing, and then I taught a little bit on the weekends in a gifted program. I got my master's degree in gifted education. And so really loved what I did. But, I did it for many years. And back in 2012, I took a couple of upholstery courses and really loved it. And, I had always dabbled in upholstery just because I wanted something different for my home, but like we were too poor to have custom things made by other people. We were grad students for a long time, and finally, got our normal house and started being like more normal people. And but I still couldn't afford to have custom things. When you have kids, it's expensive, and so I had my other daughter during this time as well, and so I just but I back in 2012 I decided I'd take some courses. Um, I asked for one for my birthday. Actually, I was like, I really want this as a present for my birthday. I want to go down to South Austin and take a course, and learn how to do this the right way. Because I'd always tried through books, to learn it and or
Sure.
just kind of figuring it out. And it was just very difficult. And of course, I picked extremely difficult things to work on, like a great big old rolled arm love seat and things like that. That's like, oh my gosh, like that's the hardest thing you could ever believe to start on. I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know any better. But anyway, after I took my first course, I was like, okay, wait, how do we do all this, all these steps? Because I mean, I took good notes, but it's just hard to remember once you get home. It's like, wait, how do we do this? So I was like, okay, I have to take another one. And they were expensive. They were like $450 a piece. And so I had to go back. And this one I took in the evenings. The first one was on Saturdays for about 6 weeks. And the next one I took in the evenings twice a week. I go into the studio and do my chair and learn all the steps. And you learn from other people in the course too. But um, it was better that time because I had a chair at the studio, a chair at home. And so whatever we did at the studio in the class, I go home and do it the next day to my chair so that I would remember, okay, this is how we're supposed to do this. And so it was better. But by the end of that second course, I knew I had to open an Etsy shop and see if I could sell some chairs because I had a few. And I was like, well, let's just see if I can make some money. And, meanwhile, I was in my career. I was traveling, I was authoring books, and I was training teachers and doing all that. And it was a good career and a good job. But I just doing this for fun. And then once I sold a chair, it was within the first 2 weeks of listing everything on Etsy, I sold something. I was like, I wonder if I could make some money actually doing this because my chairs were super cheap that I was selling. And so I started, learning about raising my prices, and then the more I sold and the more people began to reach out to me for custom orders, the more I started wondering, oh, I wonder if I could switch careers and make enough doing this. And that began a long journey of figuring out how to make enough money doing this that I like doing. And, that's a problem, is my pricing wasn't good enough. My pricing wasn't high enough so I can actually make some money. And that's a big problem that a lot of makers and creative people have, is that, they don't value what they do, and therefore they don't price it right so that they can actually make a living. And so that was a long, hard journey and lesson that I had to learn. And it's still always hard to raise your prices. No, everyone, I think, kind of feels this way when you need to raise your prices so you can be more profitable. um and it's just a mind game of, well, I just don't know, like, no one's going to buy it at this, and no one thinks this is worth it, and everyone keeps trying to talk me down in my price and things like that. And so, it's just a lot of hard lessons because I had no business background, and I was just like getting my friends to help me, just asking a lot of questions, trying to figure it out. And so it's just kind of been a journey, honestly. And really, things began to change for me once I got into a coaching program and really got some tough love from the coach about how I should be pricing my things, what I should be offering. She challenged me to create a course to teach other people what I was doing, and so that really began to change things for my business. I had skin in the game because I was paying to be a part of this group. And I wanted to get everything out of it that I could. And so that's really kind of the beginning of when things really started to turn around and I could actually make some money. I could quit my day job, which I was able to do about 4.5 years ago, and do this full time. But there's always problems to solve in every business. Like, you never arrive, right? So
Yeah.
you're always learning and always coming up with new ideas and seeing if they work or not. And but it really is a fun adventure.
Oh, I have a page and almost a half of notes.
Oh.
Oh, listening to you, that's fantastic. So you mentioned so many great things. But if we could touch on how you said you had skin in the game at that point by being involved in a coaching program. Is it a local coaching program? Is it something you'd want to share? Is that something I don't want to take away from
Yeah.
something that you have in your courses, if you
Oh,
will.
no.
Uh,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's just an online coaching program that I joined. It was Toby Fairley's group. She has a Design You membership coaching group, and I joined it for a year. And so she's located out of Little Rock, but people, live all over that are part of
Sure.
this. And it was mostly interior designers, but I followed Toby for years and really loved her business savvy. And I was always looking for people who I felt like knew something that I didn't know. And for a long time, I really thought, oh, I need an MBA. I should have gotten an MBA. Why didn't I do that? And I finally just had to embrace the fact of, no, it's probably better that I didn't, because I think a lot of business is a lot of it is common sense. And if we just take a moment and think about, the common sense things that we should be doing in our business and how to reach people, how to price things, we'd be doing a pretty good service to ourselves if we do that. And so, yeah, so Toby's group was really great. Even though they were mostly interior designers, they were all really nice to me. I'm the weird chairperson coming in, and but I've always been the weird chairperson, I think, as a part of any group. But it's fun because I am learning from what other people are trying and figuring out, well, does this work for me or not? So yeah, her group was really good, and I'm a firm believer in being a part of a coaching group, a mastermind, for sure, having mentors. I mean, whatever level you're at, having that skin in the game and paying somebody to be part of something makes you take action. I mean, because you don't want to throw away your money, right? And so it does mean that, hey, I better give this everything I have, because I have this opportunity to learn from this person and this group of people. If you're in a group like I was, and personally, I love coaching groups because you do get a lot from just the members as well. I mean, the coach, obviously, you should get a lot from if that person aligns with your values and you believe in them, but you also need the other people in the group to challenge you, to give you new ideas. You get to help them as well. So there's a lot of power, I think, in being part of a group, and that's what I personally love the most.
I agree with you. I was going to say, I so agree with you, but I do agree with you on that. A lot of times I find that I am more fulfilled, but I receive more when mentoring, coaching, conversating, if you will, even um, in the collaboration from the other person or the group.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
it does challenge you, but we learn from each other.
Yeah, we do.
It's huge. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So again, I have other questions, but I made bullet points. We'll go back to those. So
Okay.
the alarm clock goes off and your work or business day begins. What's a day in the life look like for you? Would you say you're more structured? Do you have a routine, or fully embrace a creative and more of a spontaneous spirit?
No, I'm definitely routine.
Yes.
Definitely. I feel like I need rules and
Yeah.
routine in order to be creative.
Mm.
To sit around and think that I'm just going to magically get things done, it just does not happen. And I'm a very much check everything off the box type of the list kind of person. But I definitely need structure. I have a routine I do in the morning. Like right now, I'm working on writing a book. And so my routine is getting up really early. Now, I don't want to get up early. I don't like my goal this past year was to sleep in and stay up later and sleep in because I've always been the kind of person since I was trying to start this business where I would get up at 5 a.m. I would work on my business, you know, and then, really by 8:30, I was dying to go to bed at night. And my husband stays up late. And so it's like I was going to bed and he's up late, and then I'm getting out of bed and he's in bed late. And, I just hated that whole
Yep.
thing. I really wanted to switch. So my goal this past year was to try to switch my schedule, and I did for a while, but now I'm writing. So it goes back to the 5 a.m. schedule. And the reason for that is my thinking is clearer in the morning. Um, I don't have distractions and I can really focus. And so, my coffee, when I come downstairs, it's already made because I have put it on the timer the night before and I have it set up. I have a candle. I light my candle that I love, and I drink a glass of water, and then I sit down with my coffee and open my laptop. And so when I do that, I have minimized Chrome. I don't look at my phone for any messages. I have my book pulled up in front of me. So that's kind of my schedule. And so right now I've been writing. And so for about, I'll write for a couple hours, at least 2.5 hours every morning during the week. And, and then I kind of get ready and, go to the gym, and I work out several days a week. And, and so, and then I usually walk my dog, after that. And then I get dressed and I usually take care of emails and messages and social media and all that kind of stuff then. And I make my way out to my shop. Hopefully, I mean, the goal is to get out there by 11. Sometimes it's later. It just depends on what I have to do. I mean, I have a lot of content that I have to create, like my YouTube channel and pins for Pinterest and my blogs and, my emails and things like that and my social media posts. So I do all that myself, and I'm a firm believer in doing that for your own business because, I mean, yes, it takes a lot of time, but if you are your business and it needs to be your voice that people can hear when they're reading what you're writing, and so I think my friends all say, oh, I can totally hear you saying this, because I write like I talk. And
Yes.
it takes a lot of time to create the content, but I do it for my followers. I do it to serve them and help them live better lives, and then I don't feel so bad when I open up something to sell because I've been giving people a lot of free stuff, and then all of a sudden if I have something to sell that can help me make a living, I just really don't feel guilty about it at all because I give so much away for free. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things, but it's a lot of fun. I do love my job on most days, but there are always days where it is work, and it is a lot. and everything. So that's kind of what my day is like. I kind of go through the day, take my breaks for lunch and dinner, and make dinner, and then usually just to relax in the evening, I try to sit down and watch a little bit of TV if there's a show I really like. If I have a little bit of time, I try to do something like that.
It's fantastic, and you paint such a great visual of your day, right? I was following you
Mhm.
through your day, and very relatable for me in many ways when you talked about that schedule. Um, and it's interesting, a lot of times, especially so important what you just shared about the social media, and your friends are able to say, "Hey, I can hear you saying that." So relatable, so
Mhm.
authentic. Um, and a lot of times, as women, or I'll speak for me, you'll see another female that is just succeeding, and we sit back and we think, okay, how does she do it all? Because again, it's important what you share on there being authentic, because sometimes we see everything, but nobody sees the grind and the hustle
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
hourly, right? So thank you for sharing that because it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do have a couple virtual assistants that help with little tasks like answering my info email for me, people that email me from my website. She moderates those and will send me questions if she doesn't know how to answer. Some of them sometimes I have one that handles my YouTube editing of my YouTube videos, and then she also handles. I have it's a private Facebook group, but it's free. It's called Team Chair Whimsy. And so it's just for chair design enthusiasts. And so she helps manage that group for me by posting in there and getting people engaged and, things like that. So, she does help with that. So there are little things like that that I don't directly have to have my fingers in. And so then you have to start judging, okay, what's more important for me to be involved with, and then the things I can kind of let other people manage for me. So, it's not, I can't do it all, that's for sure. But I
Yeah.
do have a little bit of help with some of the tasks. So,
Yeah, it goes back to the common sense and prioritizing and,
yeah,
being able to what's the value that you bring and what are you able to hand off. So
yeah.
in the intro, I was able to share a snippet of your business or your personal accolades. What would you say would be maybe your most meaningful or treasured accomplishments or successes?
Ooh. Well, one of them just happened this year. I was in HGTV magazine back in the March April edition, and that was huge. That was something that I had waited for um, when we thought we got the ball rolling or finally got a maybe. It took about a year and a half to actually have it come to fruition and happen. But that was just a great accomplishment. I feel like, that was my dream to have. And so, and the magazines are great. Not that they give me sales or anything. I mean, they might get a few people in my courses or help them to know about me, which is great, and that's a good thing. But it's more just for credibility, these credibility markers. And so that was really the best thing ever to happen as far as one of my successes. I just collaborated with a brand called Francis Valentine and did some chairs using their fabrics. And so that was just a really huge thing for me. But, all these things come from relationships that you build with people. And it's not like I'm just getting lucky and people are contacting me. I'm getting out there and meeting people and, you know, um, you know, like Elise Aarons, who is the co-founder of Francis Valentine, she was here in Austin a year ago. They did a trunk show. And so I put on my Francis Valentine dress and went out there just to meet her. Even
Oh,
though I
uh-huh.
didn't have the time and I was stressed and I had too much to do, I was like, nope, I'm going to do this because I need to do that. These are people I need to meet, and nothing may come out of it. But I thought, you never know unless you try. And so I met her and I was like, I love your clothes. I said, your dresses look like my chairs, and that just
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
began the little relationship that she started following me on Instagram, and then I asked her to be a part of a summit that I put on called Design Whimsy. It's creating with color, and I did it last fall, and so she agreed to be a part of that, and then contacted me after the summit and said, "Hey, would you like to collaborate on chairs?" And so these kind of really cool, things kind of come about. And we had a friend of mine and I had been wanting to do a retreat together for women who own creative businesses, and so we ran our first one in April and had a bunch of amazing sponsors who gave us some great swag. And so we didn't want to give the people cheap crap, like you get this bag of stuff and you're like, what am I going to even do with this? You don't even take it on the plane with you when you leave,
Yes.
but we wanted to give amazing things. And so those all came out of these relationships. Like, Francis Valentine gave us all these amazing, cute, love tote bags. And Katie Kime is another lifestyle brand here in Austin. And because I had used her camel wallpaper in my camper and she saw it, I tagged them on social media and she saw it, she wanted to come meet me and photograph the camper. And so, I got to meet her last year. And then, of course, she agreed to be a part of my summit as well. And she agreed also to donate like some amazing luggage tags for our retreat people. And so, I mean, it's all about relationships. It's all about showing up and being yourself. And a lot of these people that are real important and are very successful, at the end of the day, they are people just like the rest of us, and they're most of them are very kind and generous. And I think if you're a hard worker, I think it shows. And I think those people who are hard workers too like people who are like them, and they're willing to do some work with you and collaborate on different things. And so, but it really is born from trying to make relationships and trying to be relatable with people, and showing up as yourself.
That is fantastic. And that's what I had written that when you were telling your story. It's because you got up and you showed up. The
Yeah.
energy level may, but you just don't know. But you won't know if you don't show up.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly, you've got to
Wow.
try, you've got
Yes.
to, and that's like just my biggest piece of advice. Like,
Hmm.
when you want to do something or you want to make something happen, the bottom line is that you need to show up and work hard
Hmm.
at what you want. And you know what? If something doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to and you're disappointed, maybe you didn't make as much money on something that you wanted to, it's all like feedback. It's all a learning experience to understand, okay, well, maybe my audience didn't want this, or maybe I didn't communicate it well enough, or whatever. But if you showed up and you did everything you could, at the end of the day, you couldn't have done anything else. And there's no failure involved there. It's all feedback on, okay, what are people really wanting or needing right now, and how can I serve them with something that they really need and want, so it's really the whole marketing aspect of business is such a interesting thing to study, and it's just such a learning curve for me. I've never had any background in that, and but I find it very fascinating.
Well, it's sad. Yes, I agree with you. The dynamic is just incredible, and it's just never ending. The more you
Mhm.
explore, the more opportunity you find within it, and then it does unleash even not the major. Okay, I'm a creative or I'm an analytical, but it's a good melting pot.
Yeah,
The more you dive into it, especially when you have inspiration on an idea to
right,
chase.
right. And that's why you need other people in your life in coaching programs, and friends that you just bounce out your ideas off, take them out for margaritas,
Yeah,
bounce all your ideas off them. I
yeah,
tell my friends, I will pay for your dinner or I'll get you drinks or whatever if you'll
yeah.
just come. Please help me with, I need help. I need feedback on some ideas that I have, and I just got some great friends who show up for me, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without them. I stand on their shoulders.
Oh, I agree. Oh, that's amazing. Talking on that too, when we speak on inspiration, you just mentioned that. That was going to be one of the next questions to ask you is where do you turn when you need inspiration? Because you are such, the vibrancy in which you put out to all of us as eye candy.
Hmm.
um, you know, and you've shared, it sounds like some of that, but do you have anything else that you'd want to share with us? Or how do you get re-inspired? Or if you hit a barricade or a hurdle or talk to us a little bit about your inspiration process.
Hmm. Well, I definitely use my business coach and my coaching group, my mastermind that I'm a part of. Besides my friends, of course, I always share stuff with my friends and get their feedback. They're not into chairs and they're not makers. They both have their own careers in different fields. So it's interesting to get their feedback from things. Based on they know me, but they're coming from their perspectives, and that's very helpful for me to I you can't see everything in your business because you're in it. And so you need people from the outside to tell you things sometimes. And then I definitely reach out to my business coach when I need her. I when I have a problem, I reach out and I schedule a call. I post in our private group to get help from other people and ideas for doing things. And that really helps me. And everyone deals with some form of burnout or close to burnout. You don't want to get there, so you hope you can catch it early. But when I feel that way, when I feel like, oh my gosh, I just need a break, like I really do need a break. And I usually need to go out of town to get that break, to be separated. And I'll let my virtual assistant take over my social media. And I tell everyone, hey, Summer is taking over my social media for the week. Everyone be nice to her, okay? I've got to take a break. And,
I
and
saw that.
everyone is so nice to her. It's so great.
Uh-huh.
And she loves doing it, so I'm just completely honest with everyone when it's not
Uh-huh.
me. I'm just like, yeah, be nice to her, guys. I got to check out and go get some, I need to be filled up for this week so I can come back with
Yeah.
great ideas for everybody. And so that's really helpful to recharge me. But yeah, I mean, as an entrepreneur, or I like to call ourselves entrepreneuristas, as that, I do think we're always thinking about our business. We're always thinking about how we can make things better and, show up better in our business, create new offers, whatever it could be, or make what we have better. And so it's a very all consuming, thing when you have a business as an entrepreneur, for sure.
Oh, love that. That phrase, entreprenista. Love it.
Yeah.
So, talking a little bit about that and maybe taking it to a different pathway, was there ever one specific point in time, event, or key situation in your professional life that forced you to make a monumental shift within your business? And if you can think of one to share, whether it was positive or painful, how did that situation help you grow?
Yeah, well, there's probably a couple things, but one of them, like I remember when January would roll around, I was always disappointed when I would total up look at my books and figure out what did I make, what did I spend? Like it was just never enough. It was just I just couldn't make enough. And especially when I was trying to quit my day job and I was working both, jobs, just trying to get this chair thing off the ground. I just remember feeling so disappointed, and it really did force me to raise my prices, and it forced me to join my first coaching group, because I had tried everything. And so that really helped to put me on the right path to earning more, so that I could quit my day job. So that was real important. Another thing was when I was in that first coaching group, the challenge to create my first course. And my objection to doing it was nobody wants to learn from me. Like they could just go to YouTube and Google, whatever, how to do this. and she kept saying, no, they want to learn from you. You have a certain style, you have a certain way of doing it. And so, that's another thing. When you're in your business, you can't see often what people see, what they're looking at, what they're wanting. So sometimes it takes that outside person to tell you that. And my attitude, and then another objection I had was, well, I don't want people to see me as an upholsterer. No offense to upholsterers, but that's just not how I identified. I thought of myself as a designer, as a chair stylist, and I just, but she's like, who cares what they think? I mean, like, if there's something you can serve people with, and they want to learn from you, then why not do it? And so I finally had to just get out of my own way and put together a course, and I worked on it for a couple months, got it all together, got it filmed and packaged up, and got some help with a copywriter and my web designer, put up my sales page and things like that. And I mean, that very first launch, I made $32,000. And I couldn't believe it. And I was so happy because I had like $8,000 on my credit card that it cost me to put this course together. I was like, I just
Yeah.
need to break even. I was just hoping I could break even, at least, maybe after a couple launches. If I could just break even, I'd be thrilled. And then I went above and beyond it. So that was just such a blessing and a great lesson to me. Like, listen to other people, when they are
Yeah.
telling you things that you could be doing with your business, pay attention, and why not try it, and it does take a lot of courage to put your things out there, whether it be a course or a product or a service that you give people. But it does bring so much joy to others when they can buy your products or services or courses. It does help other people. That is, and that's really important to me, because I don't want to just do chairs for the sake of doing chairs. Like, it has to have a bigger purpose. Like, it has to mean something. And I know now from listening to people, their feedback is, I know my things bring them joy on a daily basis. If they see my posts, it makes them happy. And if they take my course, they feel fulfilled because they get to create. And so that's very meaningful to me, because I don't want to just, it's not, it is about making money, because we need to make money. We've got to make a living. Listen, I've got two girls in college. I need to make a living. Okay. Like, anyone
Yeah.
has kids in school, even if they're state schools, it kills you to pay for this. I mean, um, but it is also about making a difference. And when you can do both, it's the best of both worlds, truly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so two things. Respecting. I'm looking at the clock. Do you have a few more minutes? Can we
Sure.
stretch it a little bit? Okay, because I always want to respect your time, but this is just outstanding. Oh, I treasure this. This is great. And so I know everybody else will. It's interesting as you're sharing all of these thoughts and your journey with us. We haven't even talked about how to do a chair or what you do with the chair. And
Yeah.
because everything that you're doing and the meaningful part of it is you're talking about providing service to others and the value and all of those things. Yes, there's the business component, but you are, and your courses do, they allow others to succeed and find pride in themselves and feel accomplished. And if it's just scrolling through all your beautiful work that you do in your chairs and the vibrancy of everything, it just gives, even in the moment, to see something beautiful and eye-catching can just change your
Mhm.
day. I mean, it just can.
Yeah, it's amazing that that is true. Because you
Yes.
think it needs to be more than that. But seriously, I would get DMs from people that would tell me, and this was early on, like, I've struggled with depression my whole life. I get up in the morning and I look for your posts because they help me. And I mean, that is very
That's it.
moving.
That's
You
it
know,
right
that's
there, right? Yeah,
that
you just,
someone would say something like
yeah.
that about my stupid little picture of a chair,
Mhm.
and I mean, yes, I care about, my chairs and stuff, but it's a chair, but if it brings joy to people, oh my gosh, so that gives me the encouragement just to keep going, keep doing what I'm doing, because I am helping people And it's meaningful. We
Yeah.
want our work to be meaningful, right? You don't want
Right.
just to have it, just be a paycheck. We definitely want to feel like we're making a difference. And I did early on struggle with, okay, because when I was an educator, I could see, okay, I'm making a difference in students' lives because I'm training these teachers, I'm creating good curriculum, I'm doing all the things, but I'm doing chairs. What does that matter? Who cares? Like what I guess I can give people a new set for their dining room so they can sit down in it, but why does that even matter beyond that? So it really has surprised me and been just so wonderful to see that I can do something in the maker world that really does make a difference and brings joy to people every day. That's the point. That's what I love most about it.
Well, you are doing it, and you are reaching, like we've just mentioned, so many different people on so many different levels. And from, again, a chair fanatic in myself, and I get it from my mom and her mom. And so there's a whole nother story there, too. My
Yeah.
husband just looks at me and says, really? Like, you just never know when you might need another chair. But your work, and let's talk about that just for a second,
Mm.
too. They're art pieces. They are gorgeous and fun, and as your business name, they are whimsical, and they just allow you to escape in the look, just quickly looking at them, and then you get hooked and you dive into your website and all your beauty. So how do you let them go? How do
Yeah,
you
I do
separate
not.
yourself from them?
Surprisingly, it's not hard.
Yeah.
And like I've always loved chairs, and I didn't know that anybody else even would think about that kind of stuff. I thought I am so weird that I just love chairs. And I remember one afternoon hearing Nate Burkus when he had his show talk about how he had this thing for chairs. I was like, what? I'm not the only person. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, if Nate likes them, then I don't need to feel embarrassed about this. And then as I started saying it, more and more people were agreeing. So funny. But it really to I cannot keep all the chairs. Like there's too many of them. My house is like, full of chairs everywhere. And so it's not hard at all to let them go because I mean, some of the styles that I do, I like everything pretty much that I make, but it's not necessarily something that I would keep in my own home. So there is a difference between having fun with the design and getting joy out of designing something for somebody's home that has different color scheme or a different vibe than my own. But it's always fun for me to experiment. So for me, every order is a challenge. It's a challenge to see, can I make this beautiful for someone else's home so that, when they walk in their room, they'll immediately feel joy and happiness just by looking at it. And um, so that's what makes my work fun. It's not fun stripping down a chair or repairing the chair or necessarily even upholstering the chair. That's not fun. But the fun part is the design. And then when you start putting it together, that's fun. And in the meantime, I'm upholstering it because I'm putting it together. And so it's like the means to the end for me, the process of doing it. And that's what I think has been so fun with my upholstery courses. I've been able to tap into other people who no, they don't want to be upholsterers either. They just want some pretty chairs, or they want to be able to have a hand in doing something with their hands and creating and expressing their personality on their own chairs. And so it's been really fun to see, oh my gosh, okay, so there is this whole population of people out there who do think like me in that. It's not about wanting to be an upholsterer. It really is about design, and it's about expressing your creativity through a chair. That's our medium. That's the art. The canvas is a chair for us. And it's fun to figure out, okay, what fabrics can I mix and match together to look really great in this room. And so that's really the fun part for me. I love doing that.
There's something so fundamental and rewarding about that
Mhm.
creative play, if you will, that goes
Yeah.
back to, right? And to be able to do that for your passionate living and pay the bills, but everything that you're doing alongside of that or in conjunction with that, that you're just reaching people on so many different levels is just absolutely beautiful. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's totally by accident. I'm just
Yeah.
glad I did.
Well, there was a path in there designed some form or fashion. So we are so grateful that you explored it and you showed up. So yes.
I am too. Let me tell you,
Yes.
it's a fun adventure.
Oh, love that. So I'm skipping the break today, this episode sponsor. So I will absorb that because I want to respect your schedule, but I was not about to stop you.
Yeah.
I would stay on for hours. But Wendy, we all crave great resources that help inspire, uplift, and expand our minds. So do you have a special resource or favorite author or book or mentor, influencer? You've talked about your coaching, but is there anything else that you'd want to share with the audience that would be a favorite?
Well, I do. I mean, personally, the kinds of books that I like to read are more self-help books and memoirs, things like that that have to do with people who are in business. So I do read things like that to help me better my business. I'm right in the middle of Richard Branson's book. Losing My Virginity, I think is what it is, and it's about his building of his brand, the Virgin brand,
Uh-huh.
Virgin Records and airlines and now cruises and all the other things that he's done, the space exploration. So, it's fascinating to see how other people have built their businesses, and I really enjoy following people like that because I identify with that. I don't have a formal business background. Someone like Sarah Blakely, who invented Spanx. I love her
Yes.
story, and she
Yes.
uses so much common sense in building her business, running her business. I mean, her business is valued at over a billion dollars. I mean, she did something, and she didn't have the formal background training. She used her instinct. She used common sense, and she didn't have a business plan. And no offense to anybody who does, it's just I don't think you have to have that to have a successful business. Um, and so I get inspired by people like that, following people like that on social media, reading books by people like that. And one of my other favorite books is about money, because I kind of grew up, money is bad. You shouldn't love money. You shouldn't have money. Like there's some great thing about being poor. And I've been poor. We were students for a long time. I know what that's like, and that is not fun. And it's very hard when you can't provide for your family's needs. And I don't think that that's uh, something to aspire to. And one thing that really helped me come to grips with a healthy relationship with money is Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. And it really helped me to start seeing how making money is really a good thing. Like you can help so many people when you make more money. Like you can give to things, you can provide for your family, you can help your daughters not to have to take as many school loans. And like you or your husband had to, and that kind of thing. And I really like Sarah Blakely's quote on this. It's fun to make money, it's fun to spend money, and it's fun to give money away. And that is so true. I mean, I love being able to help people when I have the extra money to do it. I mean, it just feels really good. And there's enough struggling people who just need a helping hand. They just need to get over the hump sometimes. And I've been there too. So I know that this is true. And um, it's really helped change just the way I think about making money in a business. And I want to make more money in my business. I'm always striving to do that because I know how much it can help not only me and my family, but other people too. It's very satisfying to be able to do that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. And so I will definitely make sure we include those in the resource section. Because yes, my business coach would call that my fun fuel, where
Yeah.
where it allowed me to, yes, to do what I. So thank you. It is a complete mindset shift
Yes.
for
Oh
so
my
many of
gosh.
us. Because I again, I'm nodding my head as everybody cannot see to
Yeah.
so much of what you said. Okay. All right, my lady. So as we wrap up here, we always wonder what intentional inspiration or key go-to advice our Silhouettes of Success guests might want to share with the audience. So would you have a piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to pass on?
Sure. I think my piece of advice would be, you know, when you're building your business or wanting to build your business, the key thing to remember is to be true to yourself. Because when you build a brand, it really is based on who you are. And if you are true to who you are, and whatever art you create, whatever kind of service you do, whatever product you give, if it comes from your truest self and it's what makes you happy. And for example, like when I finally just let go and started designing the kind of chairs that I loved, I wasn't worried about, will these sell? Are people going to like them? I let go of that and I began to design in a way that made me so happy, and I was shocked and surprised at how other people loved it. Like I found my people, or the people found me because of that. And I think when you build your brand on yourself, no one can be you as good as you can. And we all try to be other things and other people in our brands. We all try to mimic other things. But if you will just lean in to who you are and your sliver of a niche, and niche down as far as you can, be specific on what you do. You have to put that out there into the world so people can find you. So you can have the fans and you can have the buyers, and all the things. But I would say no one can be you like you can be you. And that's my biggest takeaway myself, is to build my brand the way I have. I don't have to, it's like what they say, when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember so hard. You don't, because it's true. It's who you are, it's what you love, and it is the truest expression of yourself. And I that would be my piece of advice for people who are building their businesses or wanting to, is to lean into who you are.
I am embracing every word you said. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, milady, the stage is yours. Where can our audience go to find and connect with you on your socials and support you in your continued success?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Pinterest, all at Chair Whimsy. And my website is chairwhimsy.com. I've got a freebie page with, I think there's 5 or 6 different freebies on there that you can download, including my camper revamper, but fabrics for upholstery ideas, all kinds of goodies there that I just give away for free. I've got my Francis Valentine collaboration behind the scenes freebie there. That's a lot of fun to read, and how that all came to be, with some really great pictures. So that's also on my website under the freebie tab. And yeah, if you're interested in taking an upholstery course, I open a few times a year, and that is under my courses tab. So I've got a slew of courses, from my DIY upholstery to how to source, great fabrics, to my retreat, which is Pink Creatives, that I'm holding a couple times a year with a friend. And Yeah, so you can find me there, chairwhimsy.com.
Excellent. Thank you. And again, we'll be sure and add all of those links in the resource section. So it's completely simple for all of our audience to find you. Wendy, thank you once again for sharing your Silhouette of Success story with us and your extra time today. Again, it was such a treat for me. You are an inspiration to so many of us. So thank you once again.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another Silhouette of Success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.